Hey guys, welcome to your phonics lesson for today. This week we're going to be starting in on the various parts of speech, which is a little bit of review for the first 4 parts. Today we're going to be focusing all on nouns. So it should be a good review for you guys, learning a few new things and reviewing a lot of old stuff that we've already gone over. So we're going to start by just talking about what nouns are as we know them. So as you guys can remember, a noun is a person, place, or thing, and today we are going to introduce idea into it. There are certain things that are nouns that you can't physically touch but are still considered a noun. So we're going to talk about that today. For example, the way that we can think about a noun right now is things that you can physically touch, okay? So our sentence example is, the dog chased the car. If I were to ask you to identify the nouns in that sentence, we would think, what are the things that I can touch? I can't touch the, I can touch a dog, I can't touch chased, I can't touch the, but I can touch a car. So I know that dog and car are my 2 nouns in this sentence, okay? Now we're going to start to organize nouns a little bit more. So, the way to break down nouns right now is common nouns versus proper nouns. And you're going to understand the difference between it really, really quick because we've gone over it before. So, a common noun is any person, place, or thing. It's not specific, so it's just talking sort of in general. So, examples of common nouns are dog, boy, school, teacher, marker, pencil, state, things like that. So non-specific things are common nouns. They're generally lowercased to start with. Now proper nouns name a specific person, place, or thing. This means it's giving that a name instead of it just being a general noun like boy or girl. Now we are going to start calling that boy or girl by their name, turning it into a proper noun. So examples of proper nouns are Rover. If our dog had a name, the name would be Rover. That's the proper noun. Julie, if we were talking about the girl, specifically we're talking about that girl. Her name is Julie. Taco Bell, my favorite fast food place. Champion schools, instead of just saying school, we want to be specific with it. So the thing to remember, the biggest difference to understand between common nouns and proper nouns is that proper nouns are capitalized. So you can always tell it's a proper noun when it has that capital letter at the beginning to let you know that it's talking about the name of the place. Now to go a little bit deeper into that, when we have a name like Taco Bell or Champion Schools and it's not capitalized, we need to correct that to turn it into the proper noun. So just remembering that common nouns talk about anything, a general noun like boy or girl or dog, and proper nouns talk about a specific thing or a specific person or a specific place with a capital letter at the beginning like Rover, Julie, Taco Bell, Champion Schools, Arizona, United States. All of those are proper nouns because they are talking about specific person, place, or things, okay? So we're going to move on to the next form of nouns that we're going to be talking about for today. I'm going to move to the side, freeze the video for a second, take notes of it, take a picture of it, do something with it because you're going to need this material for the assignment for today and for the rest of the week, okay? So pause it, and we're back. Okay. So now, we're going to move a little bit further into what nouns can be and what nouns can look like. So the 2 differences we're going to talk about now are concrete nouns versus abstract nouns. So this is where the person, place, thing, or idea will come in. And we're going to be talking about this for the entire assignment for today, so really pay attention to this part of it, okay? So a concrete noun is something you can experience with your 5 senses. So if we can remember, our 5 senses are taste, touch, smell, see, and hear. Okay? So a concrete noun is something that we can experience with these 5 senses. An abstract noun cannot be experienced with the 5 senses. Instead, they are feelings, ideas, and qualities. And we'll talk about that more in just a second. We're going to run through really quickly just some examples of these concrete nouns. So for taste, it can be things like flavor, food, and sweetness. Those are nouns, okay? Just be careful if you change the word, it can change part of speech, okay? For touch, we can touch pencils, books, markers, sand. We can touch our dog like we talked about for the last chart. So for touch, the nouns are anything you can physically put your hand on, okay? For smell, what kind of things can we smell? We can smell cookies when they bake in the oven, so they're concrete nouns. We can smell perfume when it's sprayed in the air, so that's a concrete noun. We can smell smoke from the campfire, so that's a concrete noun. Things that you wouldn't necessarily think you can touch, like smoke, it's technically still a noun. Things that we can see, clouds, if we can see them, they are nouns. Rainbows, sunsets, and the sun, those are all nouns for sight, okay? And lastly, we've got the nouns for what we can hear. Noise, beep, honk, and thunder. So again, it depends how these words are being used, but if it said, I heard a loud noise, then noise is the noun. It's the thing that you're hearing. If they say, I heard the thunder, no, you can't touch thunder, but you can hear thunder, so it's the thing that you are hearing, okay? So take a second to look over this list of concrete nouns, and then we're going to dive into abstract nouns, which are just a little bit more difficult to understand, so take notes as we go through it, okay? So as we talked about a minute ago, abstract nouns cannot be experienced by the five senses. So they cannot be touched, they cannot be seen, they cannot be tasted, they cannot be smelled, or they cannot be heard. They are instead feelings, ideas, and qualities. So we're going to break that down and talk about it. For feelings, we have nouns that describe our feelings. So one feeling noun is love or hate. Those are nouns. They are things that we feel. More of the feeling ones are anger, pride, sympathy, and excitement. These are all nouns for our feelings. So if I say I love you, love is technically the noun, okay? Ideas, we've got dream, knowledge, faith, memory, and imagination. So again, these are nouns that are abstract. They aren't things that we can experience or touch. They're things that we feel. They're ideas that we have. Or they're qualities like bravery, loyalty, curiosity, hope, and fear. So take a second to really think about the difference between concrete nouns and abstract nouns. Pause the video, really look it over, write it down. That way you guys will have them with you, the notes, when you go on to your assignment. Okay, so pause the video, write it down. I know you're still watching me. Okay, we're going to move on from concrete versus abstract nouns onto the last part of our adventure with nouns today. Okay, the last piece that we are going to be talking about is plural nouns. And again, this is just a review, so we shouldn't be too confused with this, okay? We are going to, let me get my marker. We are going to look at how to make a singular noun into a plural noun, okay? Remember that plural means that there's more than one. So we're not just talking about one dog. We're not just talking about one book. We're talking about more than one dog and more than one book. So we're going to look at it. For most nouns, we're just going to add an S to the end. So things like dog, to turn it plural, we just add an S. Dogs. Book to books, we add that S. Park to parks. Game to games. teacher to teachers, marker to markers, and cats to cats for all you cat people out there. So for most of the nouns, you're just going to add an S on the end. Now there's a few rules. The first rule is whenever a noun ends in a certain letter, we're going to have to add an ES instead. So whenever the noun ends with an S, an SH, a CH, SS, Z, or X. So if you ever have a noun that ends in any of those, you're going to have to add an ES instead of just an S, okay? So for example, if we start with the word dress, and we want to make it into more than one dress, we have to add the ES, dresses. Same here, if we start with the word box, to make it sound like there's more than one box, we have to add the ES, boxes, okay? If we start with the word peach, to make it more than one peach, we need to add the ES, peaches. And for dishes, notice that it ends in that SH, so we add the ES, not just an S. And same goes for boxes. Okay? So that's how we turn the nouns that end in these into plurals. Okay? So again, for ES, it's any noun that ends with S, SH, CH, SS, Z, or X. If your noun ends in one of those letters or letter combinations, you're going to add ES at the end to make it plural. Okay? Now, this one can be a little bit more tricky. Whenever the noun ends with a Y, we need to drop the Y and add IES. So we're going to look at that with these examples up here. I didn't want to just write them down, I wanted us to go through it. So for the word baby, if I have one baby, I want to say I have many babies, I need to drop the Y and add IES, turning it to babies. Okay? Same for cherry. Notice that it ends in a Y, so I'm going to drop that Y and add IES, making okay? For story, try and think what's the first step we need to take to make story into stories. Are we just going to add a Y? Are we going to add an S? Are we going to add an ES? No, we're going to take that Y off and we're going to add an IES at the end to make stories. Let's get that one too. And last one, everyone's favorite thing in the world, a puppy. Well, I don't want just one puppy, I want a bunch of puppies. So how would I change puppy to make it plural? I would drop that Y and add IES. So we're going to drop the Y and add IES to make puppies. All right, I hope that all makes sense. Again, take a second to take some notes of this. Mainly what I want you guys to remember with the plurals are the rules for it, okay? So if you can remember these endings for the nouns, make an ES, and this ending for the nouns, make an IES, then you guys will be pretty good. My one reminder with these ones is don't keep that Y in there. So there's a lot of times where you'll keep the Y and tack on IES. Make sure you cancel that Y out, change it to an I and add the ES then. Okay, so you guys are going to hop on and do your phonics assignment for today. Go on to Edge Elastic and reach out to Miss Gomez or I if you have any questions, okay?